Hey guys, and welcome to another horror review. And this time I'm talking about Evil Dead Rises. Yes, I like Evil Dead franchise. Even though I said it many times on this channel, horror isn't really my go-to genre. There are some really great horror movies actually, like with The Exorcist being my favorite, and most of the adaptations of Stephen King books are pretty great because Stephen King actually excels when it comes to horror. But another horror, and that's a franchise that really appeals to me, is Evil Dead. Yeah, I do like Evil Dead quite a bit, actually. And maybe I should do the ranking of all the Evil Dead movies after this review. I'll think about it. But yes, I do like Evil Dead franchise. I think it's a pretty good franchise. And what did I think of this new movie? I actually thought it really exceeded my expectations. I wasn't very hopeful about this movie or anything. I was saying oh my gosh, they're again milking another franchise. No need for more. But this movie was a pretty nice surprise, and I ended up really liking it and thought it was a very, very good and really scary horror. So yes, I already reviewed Pope's Exorcist, but I think honestly, this is a much better horror movie because it's so much scarier. And this, I must say, really was scary because Evil Dead movies, some of them, the first Evil Dead is a full-on horror movie, then the sequel, Evil Dead 2, which is considered by many to be the best in the franchise, and for a good reason. And this very much is a mix of horror and comedy, it can be scary, but it can be funny too. And then Army of Darkness, which I love, by the way, but that movie objectively is not horror at all. It's just basically dark fantasy comedy, if you can call it that. So yeah, Army of Darkness is in no way a horror movie, but I love it anyway. But this movie is very much a horror movie, like the first Evil Dead, and I really liked that movie. First, what did I really like about the movie, for example? First, I have to say it's a spin-off, so I'm glad it focused on entirely new characters, which focused on two sisters and one of them's kids. And I was surprised I actually really cared about the characters, and this speaks of good filmmaking, when you actually care about the characters. And I most definitely did care about the characters and what exactly happens to them. Some people dismiss the movie, like I initially did, that no Ash Williams or Bruce Campbell who plays him, no Evil Dead. But honestly, it shows sometimes never judge a book by its cover, because the absence of Ash Williams didn't harm the movie one bit. If anything, it actually kind of nicely expanded on the Evil Dead world and showed that not everything has to revolve around Ash Williams. But by the way, I'm going on a tangent again, but again, I will say this one thing. I think Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams is excellent. Yep, I love Ash Williams, and Bruce Campbell is phenomenal in the role. But again, this has nothing to do with the movie because he's not in the movie. So yeah. So here, there are two sisters. One of them has kids, and almost the whole movie takes place in their apartment, which also makes me think that recent movies tend to really like to be located in one spot. Like The Whale was only located in the man's house, and then The Shut-In I reviewed literally not long ago was taking place in the small house, and a lot of it even in just a closet. And now this, that only takes place in the apartment. Oh, and I forget Cabin in the Woods too. But yeah, now this literally takes place in an apartment. And it also felt very claustrophobic, the situation which the family was in was pretty scary, very much. How the mother was the first one that was possessed by Deadite, and then slowly by slowly more family members were being turned into Deadites. And that was really scary. There's, for example, a very scary scene how the mother's older daughter, by the time she's already possessed by Deadite, she literally starts biting glass. And that was very scary and intense scene. Probably one of the scarier scenes I ever seen in a horror movie. Yeah. And then, as each member is slowly turning into a deadite, you really start feeling what they're all going through, and you actually almost feel like you're there with them. This is really good filmmaking, especially when you make a horror movie, when you actually feel scared and are worried about everyone. The ending, by the way, I would say was bittersweet, but I'm not going to spoil it. Back to the movie. Another thing I would have to say, the performances were pretty good. Like the actress who played the aunt of the family and the main character basically, I thought she was phenomenal. Like you literally felt like her character, like you feel like how much passion and energy she gave into the role she was given. And I thought she done a very good job. Like she felt so authentic. Maybe not quite as good as performance as Brendan Fraser the Whale, but I do think it was a very great performance. And also I have to say that I loved how the movie also was ambiguous in some ways. Like when the mother was possessed by Deadite, like she either attacked her children and her sister, but she also occasionally literally was expressed the love for her children and literally begged them to either like kill her or come to her, and that was very ambiguous. Was it all along the monsters who tried to manipulate them, or was some of the mother's original personality actually left in there? This is ambiguous, but I love that. I love how some of the things are left out to ambiguity. And there are so many references to the old Evil Dead movies, like I'm sure fans of the Evil Dead franchise will be pleased with the amount of Easter eggs and references like guns, chainsaw, and many others actually. And I already said, but I will say it again, because the movie takes place in a small apartment, and how each family member slowly turns to a deadite, that you really feel claustrophobic, and you really wonder how each of them, however they are going to escape because of the small claustrophobic setting. And a final thing I will talk about, actually two final things. I also thought there was lots and lots of blood, and it was real blood, which shows the writer's love for practical effects, and mine too actually. Even though sometimes this quantity of blood that you'd see in this movie, that was quite disturbing sometimes, but again, it's a horror, so it's supposed to be disturbing. And the final battle with the creature, like the design of the creature, that was really, really disturbing, and literally one of the most like disturbing depictions of something I've ever seen in a movie. But again, I'm not going to say it to be specific what exactly it was, but if you watch the movie, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. All you need to know is it was very, very disturbing. And so overall, I thought Evil Dead Rise was a very well made horror movie. It was scary, which is something that the horror movie should be. Like, I cared about the characters actually, and I really was wondering what will happen to them, and I was hoping the best for them, which also is a sign of good filmmaking and good performance of the actors probably. And overall, I think Evil Dead Rise is a good entry to the Evil Dead franchise. It's probably certainly nowhere near the best entry. In fact, I'd probably say the only movie in the Evil Dead that's less good than this movie is the 2013 remake. But again, it's hard to beat the original 3 Evil Dead movies. Unless, of course, you're one of those people that hates Army of Darkness because you think it's too much of a comedy, which it objectively is, but I personally love Army of Darkness. But oh well, if you're one of those people that doesn't like the comedy and wants a horror, then I think this will most certainly be a much better movie for you than Army of Darkness. But overall, as I already said, I'll say it again. Evil Dead Rising is a very good addition to the franchise, very nice spin-off. It's really scary, it's a real horror, and I think fans of the Evil Dead are gonna love that, as well as horror fans in general. But that said, if you are more of a comedy guy and prefer Army of Darkness, then you might not like this. We'll see. But overall, I give thumbs up to Evil Dead Rising. So, thank you guys for checking out this video. Did you see Evil Dead Rising? What did you think about it? Comment below, let me know, and please subscribe this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later, bye!